One of my favorite bread recipes comes from Nancy Silverton's La Brea Bakery book. It's George's Seeded Sour. It's a sourdough bread recipe developed by her head baker, George Erasmus. It was one of the first recipes I tried adapting to the no-knead method, and now it's one of my regulars. The recipe is very simple, but involves a lot of ingredients, some probably only found at natural foods grocery stores. So if you are new to bread baking, this may start to test your degree of bread baking fanaticism. Since the method of baking this bread is the same as what you can see on the basic no-knead videos, I'm going to speed through the routine steps on this video and just spend a little time on the unique aspects of this recipe. I've combined the three kinds of flours called for in this recipe in this bowl. You'll find all the ingredients listed below. And to this I'm going to add the quinoa, and the amaranth, the millet, and the poppy seeds, and toss in the salt and mix it all together. And now I'm going to take the 1.5 cups of water, and to that stir in a 1/4 cup of sourdough starter. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of yogurt. It's pretty close. And then stir it into the dry mix. With my trusty dough whisk. That looks like about the right consistency for a typical no-knead recipe. Wet, but dry enough to hold a little bit of shape. Alright. Now, we just have to do the usual covering in plastic and letting sit for 18 hours. 18 hours later, we're ready for the next steps, which I'll take you through quickly, as again, these are the exact same steps you've seen on the basic no-knead video and others. Okay, it's at this stage where we place the dough in the proofing basket for the final rise that we coat the surface of the dough with a mix of seeds that help give the bread its wonderful flavor. The seed mix consists of amaranth, sesame seeds, poppy seeds, and anise and fennel seeds. The quantities are listed below. Now, this is more than what's needed for 1 loaf, but you can store the unused amount for another baking. You can experiment with this, but so far what I've found works best is coating the inside of the basket with a light spray of vegetable oil. And then sprinkling in as much of the seed as possible to stick to the edges. You want to put in as much as is necessary to thoroughly coat the insides of the basket. Now, I may not have put in enough oil, but I think this will work okay. We'll find out soon enough. And I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to try spritzing the dough with just a little water and to hopefully help the seeds stick better to the crust. This is a particularly wet batch of dough. So I'm going to shape it as usual. And I've inverted it, and it's starting to stick to my hands. But I'm going to try doing this. No, it's not going to work. Let's try the other side. All right. We'll see how this flies. And then we'll cover it with a towel for the customary final rising period of about, hour and a half or so. Okay, now we're going to take our very well risen dough and flip it into the la cloche, or the cloche. I'm going to put a little flour in the bottom to keep it from sticking. It drops in quite nicely. So I guess it worked all right. I can hear the seeds popping in the heat. And we'll bake it at 30 minutes. We'll bake it for 30 minutes at 500 degrees. And then 15 minutes at 450 with the lid off. Okay, it's been 45 minutes total. Let's see what we have. Looks pretty good. So I'll set it on the rack to cool and come back in a couple hours and see what it looks like inside. Alright, so let's see what it's like inside here. The seeds do have a tendency to get all over the place. Small price to pay though for this bread. It tastes really good. It's pretty good looking bread, in my humble opinion. It smells so good too. So give it a whirl. Seeded sour.